Welcome once again to the Coach's Corner, live here from the Tivoli Tap House. I'm your host, John Kietzmann, joined tonight by Tony Almanza. Tony, it's going to be a fun one tonight. Who do we have on the show?
We have softball head coach Annie Van Wetzinga joining us, and her team opened up their 2018 season this past weekend. We'll also have women's basketball head coach Tanya Haave here to talk about her team's 2 big wins over the weekend, and we'll bring on senior guard J'Nae Squires-Horton to tell us how her team is feeling as they head toward the final weeks of the regular season.
Tony, it's going to be a great show tonight. I know we've got a lot of fun and things getting going here and 3 great guests, but before we do that, we're going to hit the highlights from this past weekend in Roadrunners athletics. We'll start with some men's basketball as they got back into the win column with a couple of victories at home on Friday night. Jaron Taylor dropped in 19 points while grabbing 8 rebounds to help lead the squad to the 72-64 win. The Roadrunners shot 50% in this one, and the red and blue made it back-to-back wins after pulling out a scrappy victory over South Dakota Mines on Saturday night. MSU Denver's defense shined, holding the top 3-point shooting team in the RMAC to just 27% from long range. Coach Michael Ball's squad is sitting in second place right now in the RMAC standings.
Now for the women, and they also brought the hometown crowd a couple wins. 4 Roadrunners scored in double figures to take down Black Hill State 77-63. Jalen Smith produced a double-double by scoring 17 points and dishing out 10 assists, playing every single minute this game. The following night, Coach Tanya Haave's squad found themselves down by 9 points at the half to South Dakota Mines, but MSU Denver exploded for 30 points in the third quarter to complete the weekend sweep. MSU Denver is now tied for second place in the RMAC with a 12-5 record.
And then switching outside, we're going to start talking some baseball. Baseball team got off their 2018 season this past weekend and did so at the Regency Athletic Complex against Nebraska Kearney. The Lopers came to town and game 1 was a wild one. 15-13 was the victory that favored the Roadrunners. Sean Kennedy went 4 for 5, scoring 4 times while driving in 3 to help pace the offense. But the offense was quieted the following day as a trio of Lopers held MSU Denver to just 2 runs in the 15-2 loss. Game 3 was canceled due to weather, but the team will be right back here at home this weekend to take on Emporia State.
Our regular track and field team took on some top-notch competition in Boulder over the weekend. Ryan Boucher finished 10th in the 800-meter, crossing the line in 1 minute and 54 seconds. Jacob Link put on another great performance for the second straight week, this time finishing 6th in the 5,000-meter race. Auden Grudel also ran well in the 5,000 meters, placing 8th for the women's team. You can find all the results from the meet at roadrunnersathletics.com.
And finishing things off is our softball team, who took their team to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to take on some regional opponents. The Roadrunners played in 5 really close games, including a 6-1 win over Western New Mexico. Freshman Destiny Lopez pitched a gem, giving up just 1 earned run in 6 innings of work, while striking out 2, earning her first win on the season. MSU Denver will continue on the road this upcoming weekend, heading to St. George, Utah for the Dixie State Tournament. So now we're going to turn to our guest, and it just so happens to be head softball coach Annie Van Wetzinga. Annie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You know, Annie, things with weather and being on the road early on in the season, the baseball team had a game canceled, but you took to the road early and went south. Didn't have any weather issues down in Albuquerque.
Yeah, no. It actually was pretty nice weather down there, low 60s. Saturday actually was really windy, but it wasn't too cold, so it was manageable. So we lucked out down there.
That's good.
Yeah.
We know you have a lot of new faces on the squad this year. Do you think this early road trip is a great way for your team to bond as well as create that chemistry a team needs?
Yeah, no, I think going on the road early is always good for on and off the field for the team. It creates, gets the team together outside of just the field and practice, which is good. And our team this year, they get along really well anyway, so I think it'll just kind of strengthen their kind of bond and the togetherness that they have. And it was a tough road trip, but they definitely stuck together during it, and so we want to definitely build on the things that we saw.
So, Annie, you got win number 1 of the season, but probably a bigger milestone in the career. It's win number 300 for you.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you when I say you've had 300 wins in your career?
Just means I'm old, and I've been around for a while, and I've probably had some really good players and assistant coaches, which is true.
Well, that's definitely a plus for you to have 300 wins. I mean, it is a milestone to be achieved.
Thank you. Yeah, good people along the way with those 300 wins.
Out of those 300 wins, is there any that stand out or mean more to you than any of the others?
300 wins, because it's over 3 different institutions also, like I think of moments. I don't know, definitely wins are part of it. My first year at Colorado School of Mines, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just flying by the seat of my pants, and I was lucky. I was given a great group of women and softball players, and they immediately bought in. And so just that season and the people I got to be with that year was great. Going at Upper Iowa through my 3 years there, my first year we had 6 wins. My last year, I think we had close to 30. And so really just kind of seeing how that program transitioned and the players like continuing to stick with it, because that's not easy. Because I had some players that were there for that first year of only having 6 wins and then going and qualifying for the conference tournament, which they hadn't done in a long time. That was cool. And then here, like, we've had some really memorable wins. My first year, our run in the conference tournament, we were in the losers bracket, and we came back and we played 6 games in 2 days with about 11 healthy players, and that was amazing. We won in a walk-off. And then 2 years after that, we were kind of in a similar situation. We were down a lot of injuries. I don't think people are expecting us to do much, and we go on this crazy run at the end of the year and sweep through the conference tournament, and that was definitely very memorable also.
Well, you have all those great victories, and you've built up to this point, and you have a lot of fresh faces in this team. And one of the things that happened this last weekend is you had a number of freshman pitching performances or new face pitching. That really stepped in. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we had rough moments, but I think the biggest plus and the biggest thing to build off of is pitching. You mentioned Destiny in our 1 win. She got the win, and it was actually, she didn't have it. We won 6-1. Actually, the 1 run was actually unearned. So she didn't give up any earned runs there. And so that's obviously quality with the freshman coming in and doing that in her debut outing. And then Darby McGee is back. She was here with us last year as sophomore, but she was kind of a spot starter reliever last year. And she was on the wrong side of some bad luck down there, but she showed progress in growing up, which is great. And then Kylie Burnside, she drew in her first college start the number 2 team in the nation, runner-up from last year. I mean, honestly, she pitched really well. We lost 6-2, and I think 3 of the runs were unearned. And then yesterday, Sunday, we lost a real tough one, bottom of the 7th, 3-2, and she pitched her butt off. Like, she pitched a great game. And so, like, I'm thinking about Kylie and Darby and Destiny, and definitely things to build off of. And we didn't see our 4th pitcher. It's actually Kristen Peters, who plays outfield for us also. We didn't need her this weekend, but the 4 of them, I think they definitely give us something to build off of. If there's one thing you want to be excited about, it's pitching. I think the other stuff will come.
You played some very tough regional opponents in this tournament, especially on the road with a young team that you're putting out there. Is this a good way to get them familiar with what the postseason might feel like at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we schedule these teams. You're not going to know what you need to get better at, or where you stand as a team unless you play some of the best teams out there. And Angelo State I mentioned they were runner-up the nation last year, and they returned their All-American pitcher who we faced. Mesa, we know they're tough, and their offense is very dangerous, and they know how to win. So facing them was good. And then St. Mary's is like their perennial postseason team. That coach has been there a long time, and she knows how to win. So playing teams like that, they certainly challenges us and shows us where we need to get better, which is the most important thing at this point in the season.
So, Coach, what is the thing that you, when you look at these last 5 games, or I guess the first 5 games, what is the thing that you point to and you say, we do need to get better at this spot?
I'd say we can't beat ourselves. We gave good teams too many extra outs. We need to be able to take care of the ball defensively. You know, when our pitchers give us ground balls, and that's what we want them to do. We talk about give us ground balls. We need to field and throw, take care of it. And we need to just kind of pick up the pace with what we're playing defensively a little bit. I think we're a little tentative. We're moving a little slowly on defense. We pick that up, and I think all of a sudden it's a lot easier for us. And then the other side, and sometimes offense can take a while to click, but we need to do better at stringing good at-bats together. It was too streaky this past weekend.
Well, Coach, hopefully everything goes well for you here this weekend when you take off to St. George and
Thank you.
You get after it a little bit.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
So that brings us to our tweet of the week. Annie Van Wetzinga, she gets her 300th win, but the tweet of the week comes from the Ryan Strain crew. He picks up his first win of his career, head coach of the baseball team. 300 wins for Annie Van Wetzinga. Win number 1 for Ryan Strain. You can follow all the Twitter action along at Metro ST Sports. So be sure to sign in there on the social media. When we come back here, we're going to talk a little women's basketball. So you're going to catch us right on the flip side of the Coach's Corner.
Metropolitan State University of Denver nurtures student aspiration and empowers lifelong success through personal attention and professional experience in an inclusive environment. Located in the heart of downtown Denver, the university offers broad access to a transformative undergraduate and graduate education on Colorado's most diverse college campus. And as a gateway to opportunity, MSU Denver advances the intellectual, social, cultural, and economic well-being of Denver and beyond.
I'm J'Nae Squires-Horton, senior guard for the women's basketball team.
Squires-Horton swishes the long 2, and it's a 3-point lead.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
I'm Jalen Smith, junior guard for the women's basketball team.
And the Roadrunners coming back in transition. Smith all the way to the rack, coast to coast.
And you're watching Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, live here from the Tivoli Tap House. We've got some great food, great beer, great guests going on here tonight. So I want to remind you, though, on Tuesday nights, it's the Brown Bag Special here at the Tivoli Tap House. $3 will get you that surprise beer in the brown bag. You know you're going to want to come down and try some of the great flavors and varieties that the Tivoli Tap House has to offer. So Tuesday nights, the Brown Bag Special. Be sure to join us down here at the Tivoli Tap House. Now we're joined by head women's basketball coach Tanya Haave. Tanya, pleasure having you here.
Always great to be here, so thanks.
So Tanya, we just talked to Annie about her picking up her 300th career win.
That's a lot of games.
It is a lot of games. Now, is there anything when you think way back to your very first win? What do you remember what that was like?
Gosh. I maybe can.
Maybe can?
I'm good if I remember last week's wins. So going way back then, yeah.
Well,
but yeah,
considering, I mean, last week you did have 2 wins. Definitely building off of that. It's going to be a great kind of finish to the season here. You're in a great position in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, these were 2 huge wins for us against, 2 really good quality teams, Black Hills and South Dakota School of Mines. So it was absolutely vital that we win these home games to put us in a good position. We had a couple, Black Hills was ahead of us in the standings, and so now we were able to tie them, and then they lost the next night. So we are now in 2nd place with Fort Lewis. So it's all right in front of us. We just have to take care of our business starting Friday night at Shattering. So, but very, very, very pleased with the effort that we had and that we were able to come out successful.
So your team was back home this past weekend, and your first opponent was a rematch against Black Hills State. a team you lost to earlier this season. What did you learn from the first game heading into this one?
Well, I felt like that it was our second conference game, and we had just come off a big win against South Dakota School of Mines, and I don't know if we were mentally prepared. And Black Hills State definitely deserved to win that game up there. They took it to us. We lost by 15. Turnovers, everything, 50-50 plays, hustle ball, everything, they just took it to us. So I felt like we really needed to make those adjustments. We clearly weren't the same team, but neither are they, and they were on a huge winning streak. I don't know, maybe 6-7 games. So we really focused on, let's be the aggressors. We're back on our home floor. Let's do what we need to do to win, and we were able to do that for 40 minutes. I was very, very pleased. I mean, they came back at us. We had a little bit of a lull right there before the end of the first half, but we really focused on what we were doing and made the adjustments we needed to make at halftime to get a really big win.
So let's talk about that adjustment at halftime, because it was a 3-point game at the half, and then you come back out, and Georgia Ordorf really took it on her own, and she started scoring and got some hot shooting going on, and then you also knocked down some shots from the free throw line too. So what was the halftime adjustments that you made?
Well, the biggest thing was that we had 11 turnovers, 11 turnovers at half, and they had scored 10 points off that. So they'd scored 1/3 of their points from our turnovers. So we talked about, hey, we'll take care of the basketball, and we just need to slow down, get some good shots, make the extra pass. So we ended up having 4 turnovers in the second half, and they didn't score off any of those. So that made a big difference when you think about 10 and no points. And then conversely, we were able to force 7 turnovers and get 12 points in that second half. We were about to get 10 points a half off our turnovers. So again, we were the aggressors both offensively and defensively.
So Tanya, you know, the following night, you get that big win, you come back, and you're playing a team in South Dakota Mines that they're in a playoff atmosphere as well. I mean, they're right in the mix. They've got a lot to play for. They came out with a lot of energy, and you got behind early, and as many as 9 points, I think they're right out of the gate. So was it something that they did just from an energy standpoint that they brought a lot, and your team wasn't necessarily matching that energy, or was it something else? Was it a game plan issue? Was it just an emotional time, and then everything kind of evened out in the end?
I think it was I'm not going to say we took them lightly, because they are battling. They're battling UCCS for that last position in the RMAC tournament, and they know they lost on their home floor. They think about those things, or if they don't, their coach does. But I think they were the aggressors. We weren't the aggressors. We were missing easy shots. Then we were rushing shots, and we were not doing what we did the night before that made us successful. And we got it back a little bit at the end of the first half. But it was like our halftime talk there was, look, they are manhandling you, or woman-handling you, whatever you might say. And that bothers us. That should bother you. We need to make the choice that we're going to go out there and we're going to play our game. And boy, that first 2 minutes, we went 9-0. They took it to heart, and we made that decision. And again, Georgia Ordorf made that decision, and she just took the game over in that second half.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes it's okay if you struggle a little bit. It's how you're going to handle that struggle. How we handled it, we handled that struggle very well, and we're able to come out. They made the choice to be successful.
You know, and you talked about Georgia Ordorf with her performance, and she's definitely got to be in consideration for some major events, right? Some Player of the Year type piece.
I would think so. I would think, especially after her play this weekend. And I thought J'Nae Squires, who you'll talk to here in a few minutes, had a great, in terms of points, not a huge amount of production, but we were asking her to do a lot on the defensive end. She did a great job in the second half against South Dakota School of Mines, blocked the shot, got some steals, just did some really great things that always don't show up in the box score or don't get a lot of I guess, attention in terms of maybe box score points, things like that. But she did some things that I thought were extremely important that you want seniors to do. So extremely proud of the way our seniors played this weekend, playing like seniors.
Well, Coach,
the seniors that have been in our program. We got a super senior, Michaela Gordon.
Of course.
Seniors that have been in our program.
And Coach, best of luck this weekend. And we don't want to take any more of your time. We're going to get to J'Nae here right when we come back.
Thanks so much. Great chatting with you.
Great having you here. So we'll be right back on the Coach's Corner.
kids fall in love with sports, our universities are working every day to keep college sports safe, so you can watch them play with a little less worry and a little more joy.
I pledge.
I pledge. I pledge.
Here at MSU Denver.
To stop sexual harassment.
To identify situations
in which sexual assault may occur.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
It's on us.
All of us.
To get a friend home safely.
It's on us to be a part of the solution.
And not part of the problem.
Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
I'm J'Nae Squires-Horton, senior guard for the women's basketball team.
Squires-Horton swishes the long two, and it's a 3-point lead.
When you're watching the Coach's Corner, get rowdy.
I'm Georgia Ordorf, senior forward for the women's basketball team.
And now it's Georgia Ordorf driving to the rim and gets another easy layup.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, live here from the Tivoli Tap House. And don't forget to follow MSU Denver Athletics on Twitter. You can follow them at @MetroST Sports. Be sure to catch up on all of the latest action. That's where you're going to find out all the updates of schedule changes, especially with this wild weather that we're going to have here in the spring. So be sure to follow us along on MetroST Sports on the Twitter. So we're going to now be joined by J'Nae Squires-Horton. J'Nae, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, this last week, we're going to jump right into hoops. You went out, started off the conference season, you had a great start, and now all of a sudden you're on the back half and you're starting to play some of those teams you saw early now at home. How much is it and how much fire do you have when you play a team on the road? Maybe it doesn't go the way you want, you take a loss, and then now you come back and you get to take them again at home.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, when you think about how many times you have to play them, I mean, potentially maybe 3 times if we make the RMAC tournament. And, you know, if we lose to a team on the road, that fires us up to want to play the next team the next night harder. And then when we play them at home, even harder. So it was playing Black Hills again, you know, it was going to be a fun game. We were really excited to play them with a lot of energy.
Your team fights for 40 minutes and defeats the Yellow Jackets. Was there a lot of celebrating in the locker room after the big win? Or were you already looking to South Dakota Mines the following night?
I would say we're looking forward. I mean, we weren't, you know, over the top or anything. You know, we knew we could beat them, so we treated it as another game that we should win, and, you know, we focus on the next night.
You know, so talking about kind of that next night and the Hard Rockers team that you've played, we just talked to Tanya about it. They came out with a lot of energy and jumped out right away. Was that a tough environment, and is that a tough thing to face when you come from that big win and then now you're going to turn around and you're going to face a team that they're scrappy and they're playing for something?
I would say so. I mean, I wouldn't say we didn't expect them to come out with that kind of fire. We knew that they're a good team. They were going to come out, you know, ready to beat us. So, you know, I think we handled it well, and they did come out with a little more energy, and they're just making a lot of their shots. And, you know, we responded to it well. So, you know, that's what we got to do every game from here on out.
Last year you were fighting just to get into the playoffs. This year you're fighting to host a game in the RMAC tournament. How exciting is it to be playing at this level of basketball, and how do you sustain it as you head down the final 3 weeks of the season?
It's super exciting. Like, I don't think any of us have been in this position before to host an RMAC tournament game, you know, so I think we're all just taking it day by day, going hard in practice, and we know what's on the line, so every game from here on out matters, and we're just really excited, so we can't wait.
So basketball is life. So, you know, now let's talk a little bit different here. What do if we go from basketball to the academic side, the student and the student athlete? Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're majoring in and what you want to do for a career?
Yeah, so I'm majoring in journalism with a concentration in convergent journalism and a minor in digital media. So originally I was in a concentration with magazines, and I wanted to, you know, work for a magazine and write for a magazine, but ended up changing due to some circumstances. But I hopefully, you know, one of these days write for a magazine. You know, start up slow. Journalism's not the easiest job to get into, so hopefully, you know, start small and then work my way up.
For those of you who followed you your whole career, know that you played your freshman year at Adams State. You had 29 points, and you also had a buzzer beater win 3 years ago. How much do you remember from that game?
A lot. They always, every day they remind me. They never let me forget that game. So it worked out for the best. So it was great, and I will never forget that game because it was a life-changing moment for me being here now.
So, J'Nae, as we start looking through some things and we start looking at how things go with family and your sister, can you tell us a little bit about the competitiveness, about being a student athlete and what that is in your life?
It's everything to me. I mean, I've been competing, since I've started playing basketball, and that's my love for it started, in 7th grade. So it's grown more. So it's been good, and me and my sister, we compete, on the low, but it's been fun, and I love playing basketball for the competing side of it. So it's been awesome.
J'Nae, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Great luck to you and the team as you head on the road this weekend.
Thank you so much.
So as we move on here, and now we're wrapping up this show, we want to make sure that we jump into the schedule that's ahead, because we have a lot here still going on for Roadrunners Athletics. So we're going to take a look now at what we've got coming up here this week. J'Nae and the basketball team will head to Chadron State on Friday night and will take on the Eagles at 5:30, while the men will tip off at 7:30. Then it's back to the Mile High City to take on crosstown rival Regis at 5 p.m. The men will get going at 7, so all you fans can head over on that short trip down Spear Boulevard to Regis and support the basketball teams with just a few weeks left to go in this regular season.
Our baseball team will be back at the Regency Athletic Complex this weekend. They'll welcome in the Hornets from Emporia State for a 3-game series starting on Friday. The Metro State Broadcast Network will be there for all 3 games to bring you every pitch and every hit. The softball team is right back on the road, taking on 5 opponents in 3 days in the Dixie State Tournament in St. George, Utah. They'll battle Western New Mexico and Dixie State on Thursday, so keep up with both our baseball and softball teams at roadrunnersathletics.com.
So that's all we have for you today here on the Coach's Corner. We'd like to thank all of our guests. We'd like to thank Annie Van Wetzinga, Tanya Haave, and J'Nae Squires-Horton. Tony, appreciate you hosting with me again. It's been a fun one. Yep. And definitely wanted to give a shout out to Eric Lansing running the entire show from back home there. So we're going to be back here next week when we come to you live here from the Coach's Corner.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% will go pro.
That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract. No autographs. No private jets. No fan clubs. No Hall of Fame inductions. Instead, they will walk away with something much more valuable.